All right, welcome everyone to Table Talk, where I'm your host, the Bad Luck Gamer, and we talk all things here, tabletop. Hello, Wolf Queen. How you doing? Also, hello, Gray and Devin. How y'all doing? And we got an interesting talk today, especially after the video I just released a little bit earlier, and in addition to that as well. The channel's doing really good, honestly, right now. We are just, I believe, at this moment, I'll double check real quick, 24 subs away from 4K. It is going to be, we're going to be at 4K probably tomorrow. And that's a big step up from the channel, considering it was February where we hit 2K. So that means from February, which was what? 9 months ago, right? Yeah, this is the 11th month. So almost exactly. It was about it was the 12th, I think, or 12th or 13th. I don't know, actually. I think I do remember. Not a very great day for me, but so 9 months, we've gone up 2,000 subs. That's insane. So yeah, that's gonna be big. I'm not gonna do anything specific for 4K. I think if anything, I'll do something for 10K, because 10K is kind of a bigger milestone. It also opens up a lot more like opportunities for sponsorships and everything like that. But for 4K, I mean, hey, they ain't peanuts for sure. But welcome, Zen Bear, to the chat. Today we're going to be talking about some of the spell changes and my theories, thoughts, ideas on what's going to happen to Magus, because it's becoming more and more evident. Camera's a little... Cat's been running around. More and more obvious to me, at the very least, that Magus is going to need a pretty hefty errata, considering the removal of so many attack-based cantrips. Especially because cantrips, I feel like, are the go-to for most Magus spell strikes, in all honesty. So yeah, we got some interesting things to chat about today. And as well, I'm going to be more than happy to answer any of y'all's questions that comes up when it comes to the remaster. I got the book open just in case. I'm also going to mess with my filter real quick, because is this side right? If I bump up the similarity... My green screen's... It's probably... You know what? I think I know. It seems to have gone away. Huh. Interesting. 1 second. Fix it a little bit. Okay, so feel free, ask questions as you may. And we'll talk about it. As long as Shocking Grasp still exists and we get more touch spells, I'm betting Magus is still gonna slap. Shocking Grasp has been changed. If you haven't seen the newest video, it's now Thunderstrike. It's much more castery, a lot less melee. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, with anything when it comes to the remaster, if you can always just use the old rules, everything is compatible, and that is going to be fine. You know, it's going to be Thunderstruck. Were you the one who made that comment earlier? Hot take, Magus is fine and all, since all the old spells are still usable even in Society of Play, since the changed spells have new names. See, I've been seeing that comment a lot lately, and that's... I think people are misquoting like the general rule or the idea behind it. Because... Right, so that's the thing. The old set of rules, initial release rules, and current release rules are more or less like still in play, more or less. Any of them can be used. The remaster was not necessarily designed to remove spells or anything from the game. It's more just reworking things. I don't like the idea of people saying this, though, because it's a misunderstatement of what happens. Because the thing is, what does that mean for spells that only change due to names? So now do we just have 2 spells that do the exact same thing? Right? Because that's dumb. Now, I like the idea of just phrasing it as old rules are still viable. Fine. That's very easy to understand. But people keep stating this thing of because they have different names, they're both still viable, when in actuality that just causes more issues than it fixes. You know what I mean? The premise is fine. The exact idea of you can still use the old spells, I get that, for sure. Hello, Indigo Go Boy. How you doing? So, let's talk about my theory on the idea for Magus. And then actually, before we move on to that as well. The thing is... while this stuff might still be available as far as like Archive and Ethos or anything, the rules for anything not in the that have been not like redone and remastered are just not going to be printed anymore. There's not going to be new books with those rules that were removed from Essentially Core and or Advanced Player's Guide. So... I mean, it just causes lots of problems. In all honesty, the remaster in general has caused a lot of confusion and a lot of problems. Not that I'm saying that the remaster is bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that it was a very ambitious shift, and there's some turbulence because of it. There's a lot of different things that are just going to cause people headaches or problems because... I don't know, and the general audience are always going to take things differently. You know, one person's opinion is not going to be the same as another person's opinion. So my general perspective is for people who are going to be using the game like casually, and for new people who are going to be coming into the game, because you know, right now the only real resources for finding old rule stuff is either like Flipbook or Archive and Ethos. Just fine waiting to play Bard after remaster. Bard, I almost played Bard. We just started our Kingmaker game, our Session 0 for Kingmaker, and I was very tempted to go Bard. So the Warrior Muse seems really good now. Well, it was always good before, but now it's really good. So Bard's a good pick. I don't know. But let me give you my thought on what their idea for some of the new erratas, because there are going to be erratas. It's unavoidable at this point, especially for like the Magus, for instance, and some other classes as well, as some of their features are just not remaster compatible. And that's a problem, because while all remaster stuff is mostly compatible with initial release, it's not necessarily the same the other way. You know what I mean? I think Magus is just going to get Versatile Spell Strike automatically as a class feature. Or better yet, Spell Strike is no longer going to be restricted to only attack-based spells. And actually, I'm going to double up on this one as well. I played a Magus. I actually played Magus through the pretty much the second half of Age of Ashes. Like, I had a few character swaps. I played a Magus after book 2, essentially. So I played 4 books of Age of Ashes as a Magus. I intentionally did not take Versatile Spell Strike to see if it was necessary or what I could do around it. And there are just not that many attack spells in the game, period. So not having Versatile Spell Strike limited me really heavily on what spells I could Spell Strike with. Hey, thanks for the sub. We're now 23 people away from our goal 4K. Nice. So I think... Was I saying versatile? Yeah, I meant expansive spell strike. That's what I meant. I agree, Definix. I 100% agree with this statement. It should have always been a thing. I don't know why they excluded it initially, especially when they added a low-level feat for it, because, like... Hey, it's fair. Honestly, that's the reason why most people say, hey, don't forget to subscribe, because people just do. So I appreciate the support. But yeah, it was just a thing, like, even if you can argue that a class works generally fine as is because it has enough options at its disposal, you could claim. Because, like, I'll tell you now, I did massive damage with Polar Ray. It was a good spell. Once I had access to it, Polar Ray became my go-to spell strike spell. But it sucks that Polar Ray was also, like, my only spell that I could really use besides, like, Disintegrate. So options are super important in narrative-based games. You want players who, even if it's functionally the same... Hey, Zimmel, thanks for the sub. We're now 22 people away from 4K. Will we get it this stream? Who knows? But I think it's something that having more options is always better, even if they're not necessarily even better options, right? The thing with tabletop and narrative-based games in general is it's a narrative, it's a story. There's going to be a variety of situations where even things that are optimal are not always the best choice in that situation. So having flexibility is something that I think is necessary, and honestly, Magus without Expansive Spell Strike just feels very restrictive, honestly. Like, it's something that I feel they just need. So that's my guess, and especially with the idea that many of the cantrips now are being changed to spell saves, which I do think is a better idea than spell attack rolls, because in all honesty, spell attack rolls are just not meant to be up to par, you know, at level. So, alrighty. Am I the only one who thinks Bard should be able to choose tradition? Imagine a divine Bard. I think Bard's best at a cult, to be honest. I don't think it needs it, and there's plenty of other classes that does it anyway, so I don't think it's necessary. But hey, you know what? The thing is, technically, you can be a divine Bard because classes now keep their proficiencies in spell attack rolls and spell DCs. So, that being the case, as long as you pick up Cleric and you pick up the ability to use Cleric or Divine spell slots, or whatever class will give you Divine spell slots, you'll be just as good at those spells as you are with your normal Bard spells. Honestly, your better way is technically to go Sorcerer, I suppose. But, you know, same diff. I like Magus, but I feel like some of the implements are subpar, just my opinion. I also am just not a big fan of how Magus is set up in general. I think Magus has such a very intense action load. Hey, Raymond Shefferine, thanks for the sub. Oh, you guys can make me do this 21 more times. We are 21 subs away from 4K. Thanks for watching. Anyway, I feel like Magus feels very restrictive to play in general. It just, action economy wise, when you're not spell striking, it feels bad. But spell striking takes up 3 actions, you know. 2 actions plus a conflict spell if you have one. I don't know. I feel like in general it is restricted. I felt restricted playing it from levels, I think, like 8 to 20. So maybe that's just my opinion. There's tons of people who love Magus. I think Magus is still a great class. I think I just didn't have a very fun build with it. But, you know, Expansive Spell Strike, I think, would change a lot of how Magus feels in general. So that's my idea. But hey, let's read what other comments have gone on here. Would it be balanced to make the spells that work on DC target AC, single target only, and let Expansive Spell Strike give you the option to target AC or make a saving throw? That work on DC target AC. Well, that's the thing, right? So technically, yes, but they also need to make a save. That's an interesting question, Rotom9199. Would it be balanced to make the spells that work on DC target AC, single target only, and let Expansive Spell Strike give you the option to target AC rather than making a saving throw? Honestly, I don't think that would necessarily be super unbalanced, in my opinion. Just because of Magus's reduced spell slots, but when you add in multi-class archetyping, I think it can get a little scary, especially because some save spells are incredibly powerful, and there are ways that it makes it very easy to get essentially the crit fail effect for a lot of spells that are very damning. So I think it's a little broken, in my opinion. I think it would be a little too strong. I don't think it'd ruin the game, but I do think it'd be a wee bit too strong. Do you know any news on errata being released? I keep hearing different people saying when one would be released, so I'm guessing Paizo hasn't announced the dates. Jay Legaspi, there is no official errata dates as of right now, so no one knows for sure. I hope they do it sooner rather than later, but for my general understanding, they are still working on Core 2 and the Monster Core, which is taking up a lot of their development time, and it's going to be like pulling teeth to go through all their prior material and create errata for it. I would like the errata to come out sooner rather than later. If it was my opinion, I would say get it out by January or February, something like that. But they just have a lot of people in design, and so I just don't know if they have the manpower for it, to be honest. But no one, as of yet, has given a estimate as of yet, and a lot of people are estimating things that other people are disagreeing with. So no one knows. No one knows, and at this point, it's all just conjecture. The new level 6 Frost spell line is gonna be dope. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I just don't feel like the Eldritch spells fit a majority of Bard playstyles. Hey, you know what? I get you. I get you, Indiegogo boy. Honestly, if your GM said, hey, you can pick a narrow spell list, I don't think it'd break the game. So, you know, I just think, like, as far as class identity from a design principle, it's important not to have every other class have, hey, pick any tradition you want, right? So I understand how you feel, and I think that's very fair. And you could definitely homebrew it to fit the playstyle you want. And if anything, I say go for it, you know. It's not going to break the game by any means. But there are ways you can still do the same kind of things, taking the, you know, occult spells that aren't Eldritchy, and then using multi-class archetype to pick other spells from other lists that work out better for you. But I completely understand how you feel, and I think that's very fair. Targeting AC would be really good because lowering AC is easier to lower AC than saves in general. Yeah, and that's more or less what I said. I tried doing a Hobgoblin Fighter Magus build to have like a warrior prep for everything, but it was just better fit for a fighter wizard. Yeah. I mean, Magus is a weird place where I don't think Magus is exactly what people wanted it to be, right? Like, Magus doesn't necessarily feel like a fighter with magic stuff. Magus feels like a Magus. It's like its own thing, which I think is fair. I just don't know if that's what people want with a class that's kind of like that. Magus is not a good utility caster. Yes, I agree. The thing is so much is baked around spell striking that when you're not spell striking, there's no, like, if you're playing a Magus, you have to be spell striking because there's no other reason to play a Magus, right? Otherwise, you're better off just being a fighter who multi-class archetypes into wizard, because then you can get wizard spell slots but still be predominantly a frontline fighter. But don't get me wrong, Magus has some really juicy turns. I have done 300 damage with Magus in a single round. It feels good. It feels really good. So I'm not going to say Magus doesn't deserve to be in the game. I think Magus is just Magus. It is what it is. Just watched 3 of your remaster videos today. Great job, great depth and explanation. Thank you, Zimmel. I appreciate it. I feel like Bard should have like an option to choose a limited number of spells from different traditions, kind of like 5e, but I don't know. See, the problem with that, Indiegogo boy, is it creates the same problem of just play a Bard when you're a spellcaster. I mean, not 100% because of different feats and such, but still. I think it's fine. You want something different for the idea of your Bard. I think completely both are fair. But also then, like, what is it about Bard you like that you want to keep? Is it the composition spells? Because then, yeah, then you're just going to have to homebrew some stuff in. But if it's just the feeling of it, then just play a different spellcaster and just have magic attached, or music attached to it, or anything, really. Is there some errata news? No errata news right now, Bruno Carlin. I wish there was, honestly. It's... Alright, so... Okay. I understand 100% why the remaster is being done the way it is. And it's even been made more clear to me as time goes on, right? A lot of people are like, I wish they'd just done all the remaster at once and then just released it so we could all have it. And while I would agree with that statement, the problem behind that is that it's so resource intensive to make the remaster stuff that it would mean if they wanted to release it all at once, they would release nothing for a year, right? Maybe the Xianxia book, but other than that, like, almost nothing. The company really relies on its, like, periodic releases to kind of keep going. Companies need money, right? So I 100% understand why the remaster was done in this way, but it was also done in a way that is inherently disruptive to the player base, even if it isn't disruptive, because everything is still, like, you can still use the old rules anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, from a standpoint of, like, looking from an outside source in, it seems unobtrusive. But for players who are in the game or who are not familiar with how things like this work, it feels way more disruptive, and that's been very obvious considering the many comments I've received about it. So whether you think or not it's disruptive to other people, and you just don't get a say in that, you know. I understand why it was done this way. I think it was a bit overly disruptive, but we're just gonna have to deal with it. In all honesty, Remaster's really good, and New Witch is really good, changes to War Priest is really good, and I'm happy we got those now, you know. So I think it's a little tumultuous, but I think this is just something that if we get through it, everything will be a lot better off for sure. Let's look at some more comments here. Let's see. From my perspective, the Magus... Let's see. I feel... from my perspective, Magus has been buffed significantly. With the new focus spell rules, cantrips are dealing more melee damage. Gouging Claw has been buffed. I wouldn't call that significantly buffed, but you could argue there's been some buffs. Sure. But there's also been technically some loss of actions, depending on how you look at it, I guess. But fair. Fighter Magus once per day has a very good chance of probably nearly one-shotting a boss. That's very true. I agree that Expansive Spell Strike is a tax. Yeah, I agree. I think Expansive Spell Strike should just be in the class. I think if they do that, everything works. Everything's fine. Bard can already do that, though. They have to get a level 18 feet. Let's see. Magus is great, but it's extremely feast or famine. I agree. Yes, I watched 3 today as well. Hey, Rob H, thanks for watching. Hey, if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. We got like 4 subscribes in the stream, and we are currently, unless I am mistaken, 21 subs away from 4K. Huge goal. So if you're not yet, join the channel. We also have a really good Discord linked in the description for any of you who do not know. We have a Discord. We're at 200 members plus. We have people popping in, giving their builds all the time. If you like anything tabletop, we talk anything tabletop in our official Discord in the description or below on Twitch. And actually, speaking about Twitch, we are actually now affiliated on Twitch as well. And as soon as well, not as soon, but like shortly after the remaster stuff is done, I'm going to be going through, I'm going to be adding a bunch of new interactions on Twitch, and we're going to do a bunch more Twitch like sound alerts and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be improving TableTalk and our live plays every week if you're interested in seeing that kind of content as well. So a reason to go over and follow on Twitch in addition to joining our Discord. Let's check out more statements here. Inspire Courage is really good. I agree. Magus is really fine on FA. If you go Starlit, just grab Psychic until level 6, then Wizard, then whatever, which you should have enough spell slots. I mean, I agree. You can have plenty of spell slots for sure with Magus. I think, if anything, I think this is the way to go. Also, if all 4 books came out at the same time, it'd be disastrous launch. Asking people to pay 240 plus shipping costs all at once in this economy. You know what, Ezekiel, that's also another good reason. Like, I agree that the remaster needed to be done in this way. It's just inarguable that it has been disruptive. Even if you don't think so, it's been disruptive. So, you know, like, there's arguments on both sides, but I agree the remaster in general should be released, I think, in the best way it could have. I think if they fix the reactive strike problem and the change cascade that will need to happen would fix most of the problems for Magus. I agree, Decrepit. I don't like Arcane Cascade. I think it's an additional tax on a class that's already super action heavy. And it sometimes, like, I played Magus. I played a lot of Magus. There's a lot of times I was just like, do I Arcane Cascade? I don't think that's the best use of my action right now. So I feel like if they're going to have Arcane Cascade, they should just make it like, they should improve it in the action economy in some form or fashion. I don't know how. Maybe as a part of maybe like as a part of the recharge, you know, like just the recharge, so that even if you do just a normal recharge, you can go into your stance as well. Plus it works because it works off of a prior cast spell. I think that would work out really well, honestly. And then the reactive strike problem is not a problem most of the time, but when it is a problem, it does feel really bad because you feel like you're being punished for being a melee marshal in those situations. So I think if they do remove the manipulate trait from the spellcasting part of it, I think that would also work out really good. And I think, honestly, it is needed. Would it be a bad idea to remove Magus as a class and make it into an archetype? Like, make it where you can class be a Spellblade type thing. I think having a Spellblade archetype is good, but I don't think you need to remove Magus for it. I think Magus requires a whole class worth of features to keep going. So that's my opinion, anyway. Bring back the Scald, Inspire Courage, and Inspire Rage in a melee package. You know, a lot of people are missing Scald, and I can totally understand that. I can't wait for them to bring back Inquisitor. Love me a Divine Assassin. I love Inquisitor. Bring back Inquisitor. I loved it so much. Give me a Divine Executioner style character, please. I thought it was cool. Watching streams on Twitch is hard with my garbage connection right now, but tomorrow I'm getting fiber internet installed in my house, so the problem should be fixed by then. Well, I mean, we're here for both Twitch and YouTube, Ezekiel. So if you want to watch us on YouTube, I'm all for it. You guys can watch me. Most of you are watching me right now on YouTube. But I have to say, and it's inarguable, Twitch just has better chat interactions than YouTube does right now. If I could go full, I was full YouTube, honestly, up until recently. And I just want to give something for people who want to support the channel another way by subbing on Twitch, and especially using Bezos' money with their primes, especially. And I want to give you guys fun interactions, fun emotes. You know, I want to improve the community aspects of the channel as well. Let's see. I would be upset if they remove Magus class. I think that removing it would be a tragedy. For novice players, they may think that the most powerful aspect of Magus is the spell strike. However, for an experienced player who can maximize the arcane cascade, they can exploit the weakness of almost any monster. This way, the spell strike triggers the weakness twice. True, but then you also have to ask yourself, is that worthy over just choosing Thaumaturge and having that but easier? So I think you raise a good point for sure, and I definitely think that Magus has a lot more to offer than just spell strike, but so much of their class is baked around spell striking that you just can't ignore it. It has to be a part of your playstyle, at least in some degree. So the Magus was coming from 5e, one of the biggest draws towards Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I think the fixes are not making it take a reactive strike on melee, and Arcascade giving at least a first level buff from level 1. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier. I agree that this stuff needs changes. Definitely it's disruptive, but I don't blame Paizo for being disruptive. I blame Lotzi for forcing Paizo's hand. It would have either gone off like this or forced Paizo to make a 3rd edition. I agree. I think I agree totally. Arg, I hate we don't need X class, just make it an archetype. I agree. Classes should say. Subclasses of classes, though, I think that could be more argued. BBs, Bezos Bucks. Fair. Okay, I'm a yeet. I'm learning how to make VR chat avatars. Hope y'all have a good day. Thank you, Indigo Boy, or Indigo Boy. Indigo Go Boy, for being here. I appreciate you. One thing I used to do a lot, and now I'm not sure how it's going to be, is playing as a human and taking the adapted cantrip ancestry feat to get divine lance. I loved building the demon slaying Magus. I have no idea how this is going to work now. That's a good point, because I don't think there's a way to gain sanctification outside of just being a sanctified class. That might be added in a future archetype. I'm sure it will be, or feats, especially from champions. So we'll just have to see on that one. I want more class archetypes personally. Inquisitor, I think, would be a fascinating as one. You know what? That could be the case. I think Inquisitor being a class archetype for cleric would be very interesting. I love your stuff, Battle Gamer. Keep up all the work. I love Magus class. You really helped building my Magus. Thank you, Logan Goods. And guess what? Oh, no, I'm not playing a Magus. I did play a Magus, though. So I have a lot of experience with Magus. Thanks for the support. Sorry, I came in at the end of what you were saying about Bard. One of my players is starting Bard this week. The only thing I was saying, someone was asking if Bard should just be moved to multi-tradition, because they feel like Bard could fit different traditions better than Occult. And I don't agree necessarily, but I sympathize with people who have an aesthetic they wish to achieve better. But I think Bard is good as an occult caster. I think it's one of the interesting facts about Bard, actually, that they are designed around the idea that their knowledge is not quite like academic, which is very interesting. And I'm trying to keep up with chat on both ends here. Finishing a beginner box this weekend, starting Abomination Vaults Session 0. Cool. Abomination Vaults is really cool. I think it's a very good module. By the way, this Mountain Dew flavor, citrus cherry, sucks. Don't get it. I'm never going to be sponsored by by Pepsi, I think, is the one who owns Mountain Dew. Mystic Punch also sucks. This one also sucks. Got a couple to try today. I'm gonna drink them. I'm not gonna be happy though. I hope Eldritch Trickster, yeah, returns in some way. You know, a lot of people are thinking that, and I think that would be a good idea. Having a class that is more meant to be a blend between, or an archetype more meant to blend martials-ish or skills-ish with spellcasting. I think it's a good idea, honestly. So I hope we see something too. Like, I think a lot of people think that when I present information, it's like, this is how it is and I agree with it because I'm doing it in a video. I don't necessarily agree with some of the changes, you know. I think many of the changes are good. And you know what? I think a lot of people have some bad takes on some of the changes. But I can see, and I want to support as many people and playstyles as I possibly can. So I take the opportunity to look at it from other perspectives. Like cantrips. The cantrip damage nerf, even though I don't think it's super significant, is something that some people are just going to dislike, and I think that's very fair. Daze was also a tragedy, and Daze needs to be changed. I think I'm just gonna run Daze, where if it does damage, it makes the enemy off guard until the start of your next turn. I think that would be fair, honestly. Maybe a designated full archetype like Monk's Student of Perfection. Yeah, totally. I think Eldritch Trickster should return. I think Eldritch Trickster was an idea, a playstyle that a lot of people really liked. I really liked the idea of Eldritch Trickster, and so to have it kind of not present feels bad. So I think it needs to come back. But we won't know anything for sure until Player Core 2. And as well, I will make mention, Eldritch Trickster is not gone. You can still use Eldritch Trickster and it still works with the game. It's just not going to be in print anymore. Yeah, I agree, Phoenix. The damage is not significant, but people don't like the idea that they're now doing less damage when they didn't feel like they were doing as much damage before. And the fact that most cantrips are 2 actions rather than a 1-action strike does make it feel bad. I am just saying I sympathize with those people. I don't think the nerf is as big as people want to make it sound, but I understand why people feel it is the way it does. Did you see the new AP announced after 7 Dooms for Sandpoint? It's called Wardens of Wildwood, and it's a 3-part AP from 5 to 15. That sounds pretty cool. I wish I could get into more of the Adventure Pass, honestly. It's something that I feel like a lot of the Adventure Pass are really, really cool. But I've decided rather than going full Pathfinder to do other tabletop systems. So it's just one of the areas that unfortunately had to get a cut to maintain the channel's general tabletop feel. But I do think that, like, the newest one, what was it? The Rusthenge one sounds really cool. It is a nerf, but now you can play a 0-int Magus if you only use attack roll spells. True. And it's just extra damage. It just feels good, honestly. Did you see the new... sorry, I'm late to the simping for Magus stream. I love Magus. Even with the remaster, they're so cool still. Really? I'm curious. Like, what do you think made Magus cool in this one? I mean, I think Magus is still a cool class, don't get me wrong. I want them to get Expansive Spell Strike just automatically. It feels like a tax at this point. They should just let Maguses just use Expansive Spell Strike. You know what, Ezekiel, that is very fair. The always starting at level 1 sometimes just feels bad. sometimes you just kind of want to get over the early levels. And you know what? Level 5, I think, is such a great starting point in general. Because I feel like level 5 is when a lot of characters start getting their build, like, online. And it still gives you next level. Like, when you level up, you're going to get, like, a pretty decent buff. So I think level 5 is a really good starting point. I saw some people saying that the Elder Stricture came out in the advanced book, and that's why it didn't come out now. So the thing is, the remaster covers, for classes specifically, everything that came out in both core and remaster. So if it is due to this point, it'd be weird that we're going to see a little bit on the player core 2. But they also could be tweaking it more, and they needed more time, and so it's going to show up in core 2. I don't know, honestly. All I know is it wasn't in core 1. And when every other class got their, essentially, their advanced player guide stuff in core 1, it feels, you know, strange. The issue with adding Expansive Spell Strike right off the bat is that it's so much for a new player. The playtest was Expansive Spell Strike and normal Spell Strike in the same ability. It was so much. 6 feels great personally, just because so many feat-related class goodness comes online. I think the Giant Instinct feat or things of that nature. Well, that's why I said 5, because then you get 6, and then suddenly your character gets a huge buff. Like, you start off a little bit slower, but then you can kick in real fast. So that's why I still think 5. I don't know. I disagree with the statement, honestly. I think Expansive Spell Strike would not be so much, because you still only have so many spell slots. So, even less starting at the game. So, you're not going to have so much to work with, because you're still dealing with only a handful of spell slots. Like, no matter how you look at it. Explaining it to new players was a lot, not gonna lie. Explaining to new players why they couldn't do it was a lot. So, you know, what's it called? Evidence that is only based on personal experience is irrelevant. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Love you too, man. No worries. Hey, we can agree and be respectful. We can agree and be respectful. I had a big tiff with Ronald on one of my videos. I can't remember anymore. I think it was talking about the curriculum changes, and we had a big tiff in that. But we still kept it civil. You know, I don't hold anything against Ronald personally. I was even wrong. So actually, you know what? Let me take responsibility. I was wrong in my video where I was talking about something he said. I misunderstood what he said, and I thought he was talking about in general. And instead, he meant at later levels, those level 1 slots with those spells in them was bad. So I take responsibility. I listened to the video, and I either misheard or misunderstood. So I'll take responsibility for that for sure. Let's see. Anything I missed? Magus is the red mage. That's why it's cool. I agree. Red mage is really cool, to be fair. 5 means you start with Fireball as an arcane primal caster. Fair. I believe we will have some good content with Magus errata until February, as of Lost Omens of Chansha with a new Magus subclasses coming out. Oh, really? Has that been confirmed? Azikru says, I think Luis Loza today on the Pathfinder 2e subreddit Discord server confirmed the fact that we have a Reddit Discord server is ludicrous to me. Maybe I'm old, but that's ludicrous. Anyway, confirmed Elder Stricture didn't make it due to not having enough space for every class. That's completely possible. I said the same thing, I think, generally in my video today on the new spell changes, where they might just be splitting them up between the 2 core books. I think that's fine. I do think, though, it's misleading for people who are looking at the content, because what are you to expect when you see one class with all their advanced player guide stuff and another class without it? We'll see in Player Core 2. I will claim that I don't know for sure, and I'm only given speculation. And it's a free country, damn it, and I'm going to speculate as much as I want. My thing with Magus is that even with less spell attack roll spells, wouldn't this solve people complaining about spell attack rolls not scaling well? Well, the thing is, though, is that with less spell attack roll spells, you just now have less options, which I think just feels bad. Yes, they have talked about a new Magus subclass a few times in that book. Woo! I'm excited. Magus, I think, is one of the coolest classes when it comes to its subclasses, because each of them are very defining for how you play the game. That's how I think subclasses should feel in most games, is they should be something that alters how you play and not just be like buffs in certain areas. Like, it should fully change how you play the game. That's my opinion, so that's what I'm hoping for. I still think there's a lot of spell attack roll cantrips on top of normal spells. Expansive is only going to make it even better. I mean, yeah, I agree. That's why I think they should just have Expansive. By the way, I've looked. There's like 23 attack spells in the game entirely, and not all of them are in Arcane. 23 to be split up, mind you, amongst 9 spell ranks. It's not a lot. And most of them are cantrips and level 1 spells. Mastermind also was in the Advanced Player Guide and is in Core 1. Yeah. It's possible. You disagree with that take? What do you mean? I feel Soft Magus is overlooked. I think Staff Magus is really good, especially with the archetype Staff Acrobat. Gotta dip, gotta prepare for my own TTR playlist. Remember to like and sub the stream. Thank you, Wolf Queen. Thank you for coming. Have fun. All we have of the new Tianxia Magus is that this is a new Magus hybrid study that lets you leap weightlessly through the air with your cultivated magic before you sword strike. I'm all for some Miram style Magus play. I think that sounds really cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. I feel Staff Magus is having some classes have subclasses meaning less is perfectly fine. It allows for stuff like Kinesis to have a bunch of subclasses and dipping with them. I disagree that the idea of using different gates is Kinesis having a subclass. I think that just isn't a definition of a subclass. Sparkling Targe for life. I like Sparkling Targe. My Magus was Sparkling Targe, but honestly, I think I did it poorly. I think I should have done Laughing Shadow. But I do like Sparkling Targe a lot. Well, I mean, the thing is, right, is if you have, like, if you have subclasses that change your playstyle completely, there's no reason why you still can't dip into it to have a little bit of those playstyle choices anyway. You could still have that. So I don't know what the argument is. One of the most broken builds in the game is the Soft Magus with the Cleric archetype. Is it? How so? I'm curious about what this broken build is. What makes it broken? I'm very, very curious. And to keep going with my thesis, it allows for classes like Druids to cover multiple themes of nature and such, which I think is pretty poggers, not gonna lie. It heavily depends on the class and its chassis, of course. Yes. James, I don't understand what the argument is. You don't like it. Oh, so let me try to boil this down. Is it you don't like playstyle defining subclasses? Is that what you're saying? You don't like that? Or is it something else and I'm getting confused? Because this is mostly a one-way conversation as I try to decipher text. Well, while that gets figured out, I guess I'll say now, because we have more people, we are getting insanely close to 4K subs here on the channel. Likely tomorrow. We need 21 more now, and since the remaster came out, I've not gotten below 20 once. So tomorrow we're going to have 4K, which is 2,000 subs in 9 months. That's crazy. I'm so stoked. And we're going to be doing more, honestly, more on the channel. Obviously, once the remaster is done, I'm going to be going back to doing Lancer content every week as well, and doing some other stuff, other roleplay related things. But I'm still going to be putting out 5 videos a week, and most of them are going to be Pathfinder. So don't worry, Pathfinder will still be a big thing on the channel, and as well, whenever new books come out, typically I'll have the information early, and I'll be sharing it as permitted as much by the embargoes. So, you know, don't need to go anywhere. But so if a subclass is heavy changing a character, that's pretty cool, but I'd rather have it mean lesser impact but a lot of varying dipping. I mean, I think we're just disagreeing on what a subclass should be, right? Because you can still have, like, for instance, you can still have a subclass like of Druid that focuses predominantly on using one type of element, which is very spell defining. You pick a lot of things that work with your subclass and still multi-class and add a few extra things anyway. Like, I think you're over defining how different. I like playstyle changing. I didn't say I like playstyle like absorbing or like black holes where you have to go down a specific feat line or your build doesn't work. That's not what a subclass even is, really. It's so I think we're just having a conversation about two very different things. I confess it would take too long to type because it's so good, but there's a YouTube channel focused on Pathfinder and 2E builds called Team Player Gaming. Hey, I know him. We chatted. I was gonna have him on the channel at some point. I still need to do that. It's just been very busy. They explain the build. It's called Divine Staff Magus Teamwork Build. I'll take a look into that. Well, when you said how much damage you did in one hit earlier, I was not expecting that you played a Sparkling Targe. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, 300 damage. It was because, well, to be fair, it was a critical. It was a critical on a Polar Ray Strike, which, again, resulted in essentially 300 plus damage. There, we can agree on that. And I agree with you. I agree with you that whatever subclass you do pick, you should be able to mix and match some features from other subclasses. Not too much to make it where it doesn't define your choice by picking a subclass, but where you can have some of the cool flavors added in. Yeah, we have a pop in the stream. We were at 30 viewers at one point already, which is a lot. Like, a lot of people who don't know streaming, like, when you get over 10, you're in the top 70% of streamers. When you get over 20, I think it's like top 90 or something like that. Like, there's some pretty insanely low bars for streaming. That's just how it is. Last year, we were in the top 7% of tabletop streamers. Or 1%. I can't remember. We were one of the top ones, though. And we don't get like 100 views. So it was very surprising. I think a good example of a class that shouldn't allow mixing is Gunslinger subclasses, because the chassis is this is your fighting style. Well, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't be able to steal what makes the subclass good. You know what? I'll agree with the statement. I'll agree with the statement that having classes with lesser subclasses is a good idea in some way. If a class is designed to be a bit more modular, I think that's fine too. I think you can have your cake and eat it too, but I do prefer subclasses that change your play style, because then when it gives so much replayability to when you pick a class. Like, honestly, I played Magus for like a year, I think, or over a year. It was a lot of sessions. And I want to play Magus again. I want to play a different Magus, because I like each hybrid study really makes a difference on how your playstyle comes out. Which is why I'm super stoked to hear about the new one coming out in Qianxia. That book is so hype. I really hope I get a review. I probably will. But I hope I get a review copy of that, because I do want to look at some of the stuff. Oh, you know what? I didn't state this earlier, but we don't have Glue Boy with us today. He is not gone. He's back, but he had a thing with his cat today. So a surgery. He couldn't be here. He would have had to have left like halfway through your stream, so he's just not going to be here today. But we should have Glue Boy going forward. Though, of course, we are going into the holiday season, so we might not even have stream, necessarily. But Glue Boy will be back for anyone who might be curious. I'm just hyped for Monster Core. I want a renamed Golem so badly. Like, just renamed away from Golem. I'm curious. I'm going to be doing a cover of Monster Core just to do the dragons. I mean, like everyone else says, right? But like, I want to do it too. I want to look at the new dragon stuff. I think that's gonna be super hype. I'm hoping it has a ninja or samurai archetype or something like that, but it doesn't look likely so far. Yeah, a lot of people are missing samurai and ninja. I completely understand why. Ninja, there's so much they could do with ninja, but I think I understand the general reasons why they haven't gone really into it. Yeah, or bring it back to its Jewish roots, because it's been so bastardized from the original meaning that they no longer are guardians of mourners, and now as an attack dog, which sucks. It's just the term, like, golem, right? I mean, I understand that, and you know what? Fair. If they just change their name, I think that's fine too. But like many things, many of the creatures we know today are far removed from their initial sources, and most of which can't be considered really what they were once before. Like, even dwarves are super far and removed from where they initially were created from. And I think it's fine for a new version, for a new era of humans to exist of these things, you know? Because otherwise, we just have to change names for everything. Elves, dwarves, orcs even, you know? Like, if we can't use one name, what says we can use any other name? All of these names have very strong cultural roots. Like, maybe not from... even then. I mean, yeah, like many things, there's no simple answers, right? I just think that if we focus too much on why things are bad rather than why things are good, then we're just going to create problems where there weren't any before. But I'm also totally fine if they just want to change the names. Hell, I'll be fine if they change the name of dwarves. I don't care. It's just a name. But I think getting upset about it is what's causing problems more than anything. I do want people to just be able to enjoy tabletop. So however that gets done for people, all the better. I mean, that's what they did in Warhammer, right? Dwarves were called squats, which I thought was funny. An ogre, or orcs or ogres were called ogren. Like, you know, change all the names. I don't care. Orcs are orcs with a K. Exactly. And they're all from Liverpool. If anyone does have any questions on the remaster, my opinions on anything, or just general questions for the channel as well, I'm all game. We mostly talked about what I had in store for the stream today, and I don't have my co-host to bounce off of as normal, but I think generally the remaster is good. In all honesty, the remaster has done a lot of really great things. And I think a lot, like, the remaster really shows where the Paizo developers have, like, come to understand their audience and have moved some things forward that I think are really good. Like, for instance, Cleric and War Priest. Oh my god, War Priest feels amazing right now. I think it's really, really cool. My question, why is Fighter still so cool? Blade Break is such a fun feat that makes me want to throw more forceful movement creatures on the board. Yeah, I agree. I think, like, that's the thing, right? If anyone's seen my tier lists, Fighter doesn't do super duper well because Fighter lacks a lot of just general utility. They're great in a fight, as the name implies, but unless you have very, like, focused on skill focus, or you do archetyping or whatever, the fighter class really just doesn't have combat. I think is fun. You know, let fighters just be the fighter class. I think that's fine. I think if it's the best class in combat, I think that's cool. But, you know, tabletop isn't all combat, so that's only going to be as helpful as much combat as your game has. They need another plus too. I disagree with that, mostly just because the internet would lose its ish if that were to happen. You know, I hate this drink so much. I keep grabbing this other one, which is not that good, just because it tastes better. Hunlo thinks that the remaster has been, on whole, pretty positive for the Magus. I disagree. I don't think it's been tragic, but to say it's positive, it would be implying that Magus got something out of it other than some small buffs to some of their features, which I will agree, they did have some, but they also just lost some variability, which I think kind of sucks. Even though Acid Splash, I don't know. I want to see errata for Magus. That's what I want. I want Magus to be tuned up a little bit. As someone who's played Magus a ton, I think it needs to be tuned a little bit. I don't know how to make them do more role-playing stuff that isn't designed around combat cause fighter. Yeah. I think that's fair. That's a fair statement. I wonder if Player Core 2 is going to bring new cantrip spell attacks, rolled spells into the game. I'm down with new stuff in the remaster. Yeah, totally. I think if they do that with Core 2, would be cool. That's the problem, right, with a Core 2, though, is it's because because we're essentially, like, halfway through Player Core, essentially, that we just don't know. We don't know what their intentions are, what the ideas are. I would be fine with more. I don't think spell attack rolls were as bad as people thought were in the first place. I think bringing things more in line with saves just goes more for the general design of spellcasters. But I never really had that big of a problem with spell attack rolls. But spell attacks were always just not as effective at level. And that's just inarguable. But that doesn't mean that, like, most combats, like, this is the thing that people, I think, don't understand about general combat design. Every combat does not need player level threats or above player level threats. In fact, combats sometimes are vastly more interesting when you have a vast number of under level threats, because it becomes something that the players need to manage. That's why zombie horde survival, that's why Diablo 4, it's why any mob crushing game is so fun after all. Heck, that's why Baldur's Gate Baldur's Gate 3 is interesting as it is, because there's a lot of encounters that you just fight a bunch of goblins in, you know, and your characters can get so strong in that game that Rules Lawyer pointed out that Bon Mot isn't published in Player Core 1. Any thoughts about that feat not being in the game anymore? Or do you think they're just going to put it in Player Core 2? I don't think that it's been removed. I don't know why, even though it is very strong. I think it's just going to show up in Player Core 2. So I wouldn't even say it was removed. The only things that have come from Advanced Player's Guide to Core 1 was mostly class features. So I think it's a big misinterpretation that everything in Core 1 is everything that was in both Player's Guide or Advanced Player's Guide and Core. So I don't think it's been removed. I think we're just going to see it in Core 2. The various Pathfinder 2E communities love to pull up line charts and cry doom that AC targeting spells were worthless, despite that there being way more ways to make a creature off guard than lowering saves. Yeah, totally. I agree, Ezekiel. Like I said, I don't think that spell attack rolls were bad at all, you know. And I agree that there are ways to make enemies off guard, though a little bit harder for ranged attacks, admittedly. But there were still ways to do so. Like I said, I think spell attack rolls still have a place. Don't get me wrong. But I also agree that playing a blaster caster is not what the fantasy people want in this game. So, you know, I think moving things to saves more generally works better, but I don't think that spell attack rolls should have just gone away. And obviously that's not the case, as there are still spell attack rolls in the game currently. But it seems like from Paizo's perspective, they are removing spell attack rolls. Now, whether they're going to add a bunch in Player Core 2, who knows? Again, it's all speculation. Oh yeah, you know what? Dead Phoenix raises a good point as well. Bon Mot was like a thing developed for Swashbuckler. Or maybe that Swashbuckler subclass was made for Bon Mot. In any regard. It's kind of like Improved Familiar. Improved Familiar wasn't in this game, but that's because there's no specific familiars. And like, I think people don't realize, Player Core 2, it's supposed to be the new introductory book for people getting into the game. So, that being the case, it makes sense to package things where you would see them. I think we might see even Improved Familiar show back up in Player Core 2. I wish I had Player Core 2 so I could know for sure, but I don't. So we just have to sit and spin and try to figure it out. That's just how it is. Also, Zikaru, fun fact, I saw your image on a Zoran the Bear post on Twitter. Something about the Sex Havers Club or whatever in a Discord. I just wanted to make mention of that. I just noticed that, and that's hilarious. I really wish I could chat with Zoran the Bear and Thurston, honestly. I probably could if I reached out, but that's something I like. I definitely hope I'll get the channel big enough one day where people want to talk to me, because there's a lot of people in the community I think who are really, really cool. I've met plenty of really cool people. Don't get me wrong, but bigger channel gives more opportunities. That's just how it is. I have a lot of aspirations for tabletop content in the future, and Zoran's really showed me how I like some things I want to do for future content creation. So he's a big inspiration. I think even Paizo wants Player Core 2 to be done. Lol, true. At this point, the devs barely know what will be in Player Core 2. Yeah. Praise to Paizo for quickly adjusting to do a remaster and then having a whole line of bucks getting ready to go. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I want selfishly to, I selfishly want the information out. Just because, like, right, I think content creators especially provide an easier connection between like a game and its players, more or less. Oh, you make the shorts for oh wait, maybe I saw something on that. I can't remember. For narrative declaration. That's fun. I really want to get to talk to them one of these days. I also want to talk to Michael Sayer as well from Paizo. He seems like such an intelligent guy, and I want to pick his brain because I love game design in general. I should reach out. But you know, like that's one of the things about content creation is when you're at a certain size, it becomes more one-sided, the interaction. It's like power dynamics, right? Like, my association with, like, bigger channels is a bigger boon for me than it is for them. Even if they're cool, even if they just want to chat or whatever, like, it's still the power dynamic that is a thing. And so I want to make sure that, like, things are as even as possible, or as they can be, when I try to interact with people, you know? I want to bring to people as much as they're bringing to me, as a show of respect. But maybe I should reach out, in all honesty. Both of them, I love Thurston's take on their world for Rock Grind. And I think Zoran is the kind of content creator for tabletop I want to have aspirations to be like. Michael Sayer's so based. Oh my god, he's so smart, not gonna lie. Yeah, James Case is also really cool as well. Yeah, James Case. Michael Sayer's just the one I've seen the most, like, posts on. He posts more on Twitter. And so I've seen more of his thoughts. So obviously, like, many of the staff, as you're saying here, are really, really cool. But Michael's the one that I've seen the most of. So, you know, it's just the person that, like, I know what they generally think in some areas. And I love to talk about them, about the talking points. But I know, like, fingers crossed, one of these days that, Starfinder 2 content stuff. Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. I really hope one of these days I can get big enough on YouTube so that I can provide content where I can give a big spotlight to a lot of these people. Because in all honesty, I could interview the entire Paizo staff right now, but those videos would only reach 1,000 people, a couple thousand people at most in first week, maybe 1,000, you know? And I feel like I would like to do more than that for them to show to more people. That's why I wish I had more of this way of, like, the rules lawyer or no nats, so that I could make content for these people to really show them off, to really get the people to understand, like, where their games are coming from. Because I would like to do more, like, personal pieces, honestly, on these kinds of people. I think that is a kind of personalization that you just don't get, especially from like Wizards of the Coast, right? And Paizo's so willing to do so. I really want to be able to do a lot of people's like service. That's cool. I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is a lot of these people, like, we're talking about like Thurston, and you know what? Checking in with Thurston about Starfinder 2e stuff, because I will be doing Starfinder 2nd Edition stuff. I will be talking about it on the channel when I have a bit more time and I'm a bit more squared away. But like, I want to be able to provide something as well, you know, like, I want my channel to help as much as it is something that allows me to do really cool things, like talk to some of these people. I'm a very, like, I'm not one for zodiacs, right? But I'm a Libra. I like things to be balanced. I like things to have as much of a balance as possible, and I want to bring as much good as these people will do for me. And it's why I, for the most part, bring people. Thank you. It's why, for the most part, like, you guys can tell, most of the people who've shown up on my channel, besides Ronald, are people who are either smaller channels than mine, or who exist in formats outside of YouTube that they wouldn't ever get to know, you know? Like Paul from the Pathfinder 2e Reddit. Super cool guy. Love his stuff. Love his podcast. No one on YouTube knows about him, you know? And worse, he's on Blue Sky now rather than Twitter, which I completely understand the switch, but that's much more inaccessible to general audiences, which is why Libra looking ass. I feel like that's something that Zoran would say. That sounds like a very Zoran line there. What was I talking about? Probably Paul, right? Anyway, Paul's a great person. Absolutely love the stuff. He's been on the channel twice now. We helped boost some of the stuff he was doing. I think he was doing the beginner box stuff a while back. Love to help him out. And, you know, great person. Met him at PaizoCon, actually. That's where I met Mark Seifter. I talked to Mark Seifter for 3 hours at PaizoCon. That was so cool. I love Mark so much. I want to make sure that this channel is grown by my hard efforts more than it is by other people kind of giving me stuff, because it might be something I just can't give back, you know? Not that I'm opposed to it. If Zoran messaged me saying, hey, I love the way you talk about it, let's have a chat, I would be more than happy to do so. But I want to make sure that I have at least, like, even 10,000, 20,000 subs, something, some sizable following, so that when I come to these people and offer something, it's something of value, you know? And that's not bigger channels mean more. I intentionally speak to smaller channels and help them out and do all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's why we had Jake from Wisdom Check on. We'll probably have, oh, darn it, what's his name? I think it's Jeff. I can't remember. The guy from Team Player Gaming. I talked to him, we had a chat. And he'll probably be on the channel as well. Like, I don't mind doing that because I feel like uplifting the tabletop community is the best thing we can do. But that's something that's my choice, because it is, for all intents and purposes, content that does worse on the channel, no matter how you look at it, and it sucks to say that out loud. And I do it because I'm happy to do so. So it feels wrong to impose a similar burden on someone else. You know what I mean? Even if it's not in an official content ways, you know. Even though I would love to do content with these individuals. And so I think that's also just a position I'd like to take. Let's see. They're gonna have to errata the hell out of Magus. Yeah, Elementalist Magus need some love. Yeah, I mean, the Magus stuff. For those of you who are coming in late here to the chat, we talked a lot about Magus, and I think the general consensus is Player Core 2 might give a bunch of buffs, which would be really cool. Might see a bunch more new attack stuff, or they're just gonna errata Magus and maybe just give it expansive spell strike. I don't know. All I can say is all hope is not lost for Magus. I think Magus has a bright future. I would be super surprised if somehow Paizo dropped the ball on this one thing, because they've been doing nothing but W's for as long as I've known or been playing the game. So I think everything is fine. It's just, rough waters right now. It's rough waters right now. And obviously, you can still use this old content regardless. Initial release content is still viable, and I encourage you to do so if it makes you enjoy the game more, in all honesty. Because that's what I will be doing. Also because I have to, because some features just don't work under the remaster. Oh, Ezekiel, actually, I'm curious. Maybe I'm just curious because I know of your association, but how is working, like, doing shorts for a bigger channel like that do? Like, is it just a fan thing you do for funsies? Or are you, like, employed? And you don't go into, like, rates or anything, obviously. But I'm just curious, like, because I think they have a lot of really great shorts material stuff. I'd love to get someone to do shorts for our stuff, but obviously I want our content to be better for that. We're gonna be investing in player art moving forward a lot more, or as much as we can, and I think that's just gonna go a long way. But I'm curious. Is there any timetable on post adventure or advanced players guide erratas? No. I know they want to get them out, and I think even Paizo wants to get them out as soon as they can, but there's no idea yet. Mostly because they're just busy working on Monster Core, Player Core 2, Qianxia. They got so much on their plate. Erratas are just going to have to be things that are going to come as they come. And I don't blame them for that, but it's just the way of things. You're paid as a freelancer stuff for them. That's cool. That's really cool. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of chuckles. I've been watching Rock Grind, and Rock Grind is hilarious. I love a lot of their content. I've also seen Junker's Delight a little bit, but I haven't dedicated time to it yet. I'm really bad about watching live plays, but I'm watching more as like what I could do for my own content thing than anything. But I do find most of the people in Rock Grind to be fun to watch in general. The group of people they have are so... Everyone who got involved with like Alpha Busa are really great people. I think they're all really, really fun. And man, what I give for an in on that crowd, you know? Like, I did it again. I will finish this drink, I promise. They are really good. It also gives me a general idea on what the channel size is, because I do eventually want to get like help on the channel. I want to be able to produce more. If I could go daily with content, that'd be great. I also, just for our live play stuff, I want to be able to improve the quality of it and create more tabletop envy. Like, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the channel, my big goal is not to be a Pathfinder 2e channel. My big goal is to create tabletop envy content. Is to create content that makes so many people think tabletop is the coolest thing ever and get more people into tabletop. I talk about Pathfinder 2e because it's just my favorite game system. But if I could make our content so enviable that it gets more people into tabletop, that is my goal. And Rock-goons and so much of stuff like that is more what I want to do, but like in addition to covering content and having the ability to sit down here and chat with y'all in a very like personable way. I totally believe it, honestly. I've made some shorts on the channel too. And it's something that I do need to do more of, you know, when I can get the time. But like, it's a one-man show, which you wouldn't believe from all the content I've been putting out lately. I've been working so much lately. I literally had to have a break day because I just couldn't not have a break day anymore. My body said no, and I had to listen. But I do know, and my shorts content, ND is narrative declaration. Oi, man. Who, if you haven't seen yet, check him out. Zoran is really, really cool, and narrative declaration is a bunch of really cool folks in general who make tabletop really, really fun. You know what? Despite everything I've griped about of their remaster up until this point. Oh, did we get another sub that didn't? We got another sub that didn't show up on here. We got a few. I'm so sorry for the people. Zimmel subscribed and Raymond Shefferine subscribed on the channel. I don't know if I said that. But yeah. I'm sorry those alerts didn't go off. Thank you all so much to Zimmel and Raymond Shefferin. I know Indiegogo Boy did. We are now 18 subs away from 4K. Nuts. Insane. Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you're blaming me, of course. No. I'm just saying, like, I totally understand. And I do want to do... I've done shorts content on the channel. Not great shorts. Like, I'm sure no one here has missed the fact that I'm not a great editor for my content. I'm not the best. I do my best. I do it in a way that is the easiest for me to get my content out while minimizing work-related stress, because I do this full-time, which I'm very fortunate to do. Not because I make money on YouTube, but because my spouse allows me to. But it there's limits. And if I could get a good editor one day, I hope so, because the one thing I want to do is really just amp the channel up in as many ways as possible. I am taking this insanely seriously, to the fact that, you know, I made I made a video today, which took me like 5 hours, and now I'm doing a 2-hour stream, in addition to trying to respond to comments and such on my phone. It's been busy. I'm not doomering about Magus, to be clear. Gouging Claw got absolutely bonkers, and my Snipey Boy is here for it. Yeah, totally. No, I get you. I just want to, like, I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction to make sure that people are like aren't hyperbolizing things in the remaster as much as possible, because that's just the internet, you know. I've learned, definitely, I can't win all the battles. Yeah, Ezekiel, totally. When I have the ability to pay you a fair amount, I will definitely keep you in mind, for sure. I appreciate the offer. But, like, let me say this. My channel has made the most it has ever made, and I've made, with essentially a week's worth of content, almost $200. That's not a lot of money for a week's worth of content. But, you know, it is what it is. It's just the size of the channel. It will grow as the channel grows. Pog, Fortnite dances. Now I'm less sure. I don't know. Seems kind of cringy, bro. But no, for real, I would love to. I've seen the Rock Grind shorts. I think you do really good work. So I'd love to have you if I could afford you. That's still something to be proud of. Yeah, totally. For sure. I am very proud of the work I've come through. Like, that's the thing, right, with YouTube. And that's the thing, like, that's the thing when it comes to, like, if y'all want, like, a look on a channel that is growing, you know, like, I can say with full confidence this channel will get up to the 10s, 20,000 subs range in the next year or two, give or take. And hopefully more beyond that. The thing is like right now, 2,000 subs in 9 months is an insane improvement. And I've managed to be able to do the best work that the channel has ever done this year. And the day that I hit 2,000 subs, my father passed. It was a really rough year, and it was sudden and unexpected. And my life has been flipped on its head since, and I now have a house, which I didn't earlier. And to say it, like, in spite of that, in spite of the tragedy and how my life got upended, how I've had to move several hours away and do so much and still be able to make this much progress, is something I'm very fortunate to have here on the channel. And I take it very, very seriously. Just like I take everything people say very seriously. Every comment, I look at most comments, and if I don't respond, it's mostly because I don't have something I want to say. I'm trying to think of something, and sometimes I just forget that the comment was made because other people are commenting or I'm just busy. But I do try to make this channel as open and as available as possible, as good as possible. I've changed a lot of what's been going on. And yet, despite all this progress, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, we're at 4,000 subs. Not much will change for the channel. And that's just the reality of the situation. Is it will improve. It is getting better. But until the channel hits about like 10,000 subs, give or take, there won't be significant changes in the channel, you know. And the channel averages somewhere in the realm of like 200, 250 subs a month, give or take. And so it's like, how long before I hit that mark? You know, how long can I put off not making a decent income for my household, which is very painful. But it's why I hit it full bore, you know. That's why I've been making content every single day. It's why I've been making connections, you know. James here, if he's still in the chat, has been someone I've been very thankful to be connected to in the community, and all kinds of stuff. I don't take getting to 4K lightly, especially because that's something that so many channels wish they had right now. I know so many of the Pathfinder content creators right now wish they had 4,000 subs. And if I have my way, they'll get there, you know. If I can keep up and keep doing hard work, I can try to drag other channels up with me as well, or at least increase the amount of people who are in the Pathfinder 2E pool of what viewers on YouTube. As I do think we're Pathfinder 2nd Edition is growing every day, and I think the viewer base is going to grow as well, and we're going to see some pretty big spikes. But I keep going back to the point. 4,000 subs is slightly better than 3,000 subs. Hopefully, a lot of this new momentum carries forward and the channel grows pretty quickly. I don't know. After the remaster content, I might lose sizable amounts of subs because the remaster is done and people might be done with the channel. I don't know. If that happens, it'll suck, but I'll keep on going. So, you know, for all you 17 people here in chat, 13 on YouTube and on Twitch, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. I do try to take everything you guys into consideration, and for all our 200 plus Discord members as well. Hopefully I can make some more interesting content. We do have a secret channel on the Discord for those who are willing to dive into the channel a bit. We do have a secret Discord, or a secret part of the Discord. But I'm gonna do more. And you know, a lot of this is just improving my own quality of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I felt like in that a lot of this has been building up on me. So I apologize for venting onto all y'all here in chat today. I was just, man, I'm tired. I'm very tired after the remaster. Hoo boy, after. Thank you, Amen. I appreciate that. And the remaster's not even done. Next video will either be just Spell Rank 2 or Spell Ranks 2 and 3. But then after that, we'll probably do the rest of the Spell Ranks in like a third video. And then I'm going to cover the focus spells because someone's been asking me relentlessly for focus spells. And I'm going to cover the ancestry changes because there's been a lot of ancestry changes. So that'll be another interesting video. So I have at minimum 5 more days of content. And then it's not going to end there because even if I do everything by the 15th, which is when the remaster fully like releases to the public in every way, I will still be making videos at least until that Friday to keep up with my schedule. I am not for a second going to let up on the channel until my given days off, you know. That's just the kind of work you need on YouTube. It's unfortunate. I'm working this hard. I'm working who knows how many hours every day for $100 a week, maybe $200 a week. You know, for to be honest, it was barely $100 in a month. Pennies. But that's just what you got to do, you know. But I'm very tired, so I just, you know, thanks for letting me vent. If anyone has any questions on the remaster, any questions about stuff coming up, please go ahead and ask. I pretty much, like, vented out most of what I had planned today. For sure. Actually, you know what? I got a question for chat. What would you all like to see in the remaster stuff? You know, because I know a lot of the other channels have been covering some of the other areas for sure. I'm surprised by the lack of coverage from other channels, to be honest. Which is fine by me, I guess, because it lets me capitalize on it. But I'm surprised. So, you know, that being the case, I want to make sure that you guys are getting what you want before it releases. So if there's anything you guys want, hell, we can talk about it now. I'll be more than happy to talk about it. I really wish I could just show the book and be like, here's the page, you guys can look at it. But I can't. And I mean, understandably so. But man, would that make my life easier? That would be so nice. That's another thing. Like, all of these videos, I developed a style of editing that was so much faster that it cut down most of my 3-hour video productions down to like an hour. And now I've had to go back because of the remaster stuff. Your remaster content, legitimately no clue, because your secondary compendium approach is already bonkers and I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing it for people who are curious. I'm here for the hype. I'm here for people who are so hyped they can't wait for the book to release and need to find content elsewhere. That is the goal. I finished it. I finished this piece of garbage. It's done. We don't waste food, even if it's soda, even though it'd be completely fine. I don't waste. Oh, you know what? Some fun news. I think in the second half of November, or maybe early December, we'll see. We're going to be having a Lancer build like tournament on the channel, or in the Discord specifically, but it will be showed off on the channel. We're gonna have people put their builds up. We're gonna have the community vote. So if you love building mechs, you love Lancer, we got some great content coming up for you community-wise this coming soon. So if you're not already, go ahead down to the description or below on Twitch. Join our official Discord. We have over 200 members. We're going to have a big Lancer build-off because I think that's going to be super fun. And we'll have to do some Pathfinder stuff at some point. I'll probably do some Pathfinder stuff next year. Ooh. I think... I don't think you can gamble bits on Twitch, right? Or not bits, channel points. Can you gamble channel points? Does anyone know? Because if you can gamble channel points, maybe we'll have like a gambling thing for which god dies in Pathfinder. Or maybe we'll just make up a system in the Discord and we'll have like a betting ring in the Discord using, you know, fake currency on which god is gonna die in the War of the Immortals. Because I think that'd be a lot of fun too. I don't know how it works either, but if there's a thing, maybe we'll figure it out. Like I said, I do want to do more stuff for the Twitch. It's like we're gonna have new sound alerts, we're gonna have everything, and maybe I'll get a new scene because I like the scene currently, and I like how easy it is to read the text. Oh, read the text over here, but it's very limited, and people's stuff flies off of the stream chat. So I might expand it, get like another scene, and just have it expanded. I don't know. How do you guys like the chat? Do you think it needs to be like bigger? Yvette Sitlington. Interesting name. Which god was so mad if it goes? I don't know. I mean, who knows? You know, I love Luis's constantly telling people just like it's a different god every time. I think that's hilarious. You know, this is a great chance for them to pull one over on everyone. I think that who knows, you know, I think we might have a very big shakeup. I'm very excited. I think a lot of the War of the Immortals stuff, man. War of Immortals is gonna be crazy. It's just gonna be a new god who gets KO'd immediately. No, they've confirmed that one of the current gods is going to be killed. Hey, thanks Amusement Overlord and Oimon for joining the Discord. Glad to have you all on board. I was gonna look something up. Oh, let's see, because when is... They might not even know yet, actually. I'm pretty sure they said the War of the Immortals is coming out next July, or right? Am I wrong? They did just announce a new Core 20 God, did they? I mean, that's completely fair, Amusement Overload. I think that's a perfectly valid way to play the game, for sure. Oh, it's next December. Oh, wow, that's so long. That makes sense. I was like, I thought for a second we were going to see Player Core 2 dropping with War of Immortals, and that would be nuts. I know nothing about this. I really should get more information on all this stuff going on. Man, there was... I got the shaft when it came to some of the remaster stuff, because the whole snare stuff and crossbow stuff apparently was all talked about on a stream that also happened to be on my birthday, which is very unfortunate. I'm the BattleLog Gamer for a reason, because there was no way in heck I was going to be seeing that stream. And of course, busy, I didn't see it afterwards. But yeah, I got yelled at for quite a bit for not having that information. You know what? I'm super stoked for Starfinder 2nd Edition. I really liked the idea of Starfinder 2nd Edition. When we tried it out on the channel, I think we just ran into the problem of it felt Pathfinder, but it didn't feel Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And so it kind of rebuffed us a little bit. So having a Starfinder 2nd Edition that's just completely rules compatible with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, hype. Super cool. I really, really, really want to do more space stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. Excuse me. And so, that being the case, I'll be covering a lot of Starfinder 2. When Starfinder 2 stuff comes out, I'm pretty much going to be splitting my content between Starfinder and Pathfinder. In addition to other tabletop stuff, as I don't want to do only Paizo content. Though, when Starfinder comes out, we'll have like a week of Starfinder content. And you know what? Legitimately, speaking on that, I'm also super hyped for Player Core 2. I don't think Alchemist is going to get a lot of changes, but there are some changes I really do want for Alchemist. So I can't wait to see that. I'm excited to see the new dragon stuff mixing with some of the classes like Barbarian Instinct or Sorcerer Bloodlines. Also, the rework for Oracle I'm super curious about, because I think Oracle is a very fascinating class, but it feels a bit janky. So I feel like some tweaks to Oracle is going to go a long way. I'm really interested in seeing what they do with Swash. I like Swashbuckler. Do you think Swashbuckler's not good? Or you do just want to see more cool stuff for Swashbuckler? Because I like Swashbuckler for real feels like a Devil May Cry character. I think it's so fun. One of my favorite builds was essentially a Swashbuckler that was a changeling and utilized the Slag Hag's claws, essentially, in addition to a one-handed weapon, to be like a cool monster hunter, and it was just my favorite idea. You know, honestly, if I made this channel, well, you know, honestly, if I did it, I'd probably make a sub-channel. Maybe at some point in the future, if the channel gets big enough where I have enough income, I might make a sub-channel for lore in tabletop games, like all tabletop games, like a singular lore channel where you can find lore for any game. Because I would love to cover lore for like Pathfinder and stuff like that, but that involves a lot of reading and a lot of time, and it takes me quite a while to digest content that I've read. My brain is just kind of spacey because of a little bit of ADD, honestly. Also, just like I think the current generation of brain don't like sitting still for too long. But I think lore is super cool. I love lore channels, and if I wanted to make a really good channel, I think a lore channel in general would be really cool. I think also Pathfinder, it does have some lore channels, don't get me wrong, but I think Pathfinder really needs like a really good, solid lore channel coming out with content super frequently. I don't know. Legitimately, I don't think Swashbuckler needs to get out their finishers that much. Getting Panache is like super necessary, but even without finisher, they're a class that does some extra stuff as a single-handed martial class for the most part. So I don't think they need to do finishers. Maybe that's optimal. I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like you can just be a Swashbuckler, and once you get Panache, like I think the table is yours. But you know, I haven't played a ton of Swashbuckler, so maybe I'm speaking from ignorance. Who knows? But hey, if that's the case, I agree. I also super duper agree that Magus feels restricted to play. It does feel like an MMO rotation style class, which I think is bad design, in all honesty. I feel like characters should be flexible, or at least generally flexible enough to change things up. And Magus is so action intensive, it's crazy. Not that they're weak by any means, but I'm a man who values both flexibility and freedom to improv on scene, you know. And Magus can get in the way of that sometimes. And I know Magus because I played a lot of Magus. But Daphne, since you're the one who mentioned that, was that your general thought, or was it something else? I only played Swash. Good answer. Good timing there. I only played Swash once, and of course the adventure I was in was full of precision damage immune creatures. Made me wish that there was more I could do with Panache. Yeah. Yeah, was it the slime one, right? The beginner box? Or was it just by pure chance it was another like slime / undead one? Because that does feel bad. That is the bad thing about making classes that have core class features revolving around precision damage, is you run into hard counters, which doesn't feel great. Rogue suffers similarly with sneak attack. And while I don't think it's a very common issue, it's just one of those things where it's like, it feels good most of the time until it doesn't, and then it feels real bad, which I understand. Oh, the haunted house one. That does make sense, yeah. Hello, Bean. I have Kitty. Here, so y'all can see Cat. Hi, Bean. How you doing, Bean? Yeah, buddy. There you guys go. Cat cam. I need a cat cam at some point. Good. I feel a little off kilter. There we go. A majority of Pathfinder channels, and really most TTRPG channels, just struggle with quality and presentation of their videos. I agree. In fact, that was the reason why I wanted to make a tabletop channel in the first place. Being born with a decent amount of charisma and a pure love of TTRPG content, I have to admit a lot of tabletop content online is dry. It's very dry. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame anyone for that in particular. It's not like there's not a lack of passion for sure, but sociable skills and decent levels of charisma can be hard to find in the TTRPG space. I've done enough Adventures League to know that's the case. So I wanted to do my part to make tabletop look as fun as it is. Because I feel like if content creation can get really behind tabletop, kind of like how Critical Role did in Dimension 20, and Arcadium stream until that one collapsed due to hubris. I feel like tabletop in general will improve, and that's something I want. If a channel can work to improve the presentation experience, video editing, and audio quality, they'll be successful in the long run, but it's something to work on. Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of effort. I completely agree. I think anyone can get good at YouTube, but I don't think everyone has the patience nor time to get good at YouTube. And that's something that, like, I've been lucky to have the opportunity to do, because I have a partner who is got a job well off enough that I could do this. And by no means is it like something we're doing just because. We're doing this because I want to put in enough effort to make a significant amount of income off of this while being able to stay home and hopefully get to a point where they can do something that they want to do as well. But that's not something that everyone has, obviously. So, like, it's a lot of luck for sure. But I think, yeah, it is for sure. And, you know, it takes a lot of dedication, especially tabletop content. Because, like, right, if I wanted to be a YouTuber, if I wanted to be someone who I have more space. Still have more space. Even enough. If I wanted to be a YouTuber, I would not be doing tabletop content. Plain and simple. I would be doing something else. But if I can do this and become a well-off enough YouTuber while doing the thing I love, I feel like I can bring a lot of benefit to not only myself, but to the community as a whole. Tabletop has been my lifelong passion, and so it only makes sense for me to dedicate as much of my life to it as possible to help improve the overall space. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I have the desire, the ambition to do it, and the charisma to help carry it through. Now, I'm not saying I'm the most charismatic person in tabletop. That's definitely not the case, for sure. I'm just saying that I have enough charisma where I think I can at least make it work. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people I think are way more charismatic, even in the Pathfinder space. I mean, whether you like it or not, I think Nonats is carried a lot by the charisma he has. And I wish I had the same levels of charisma that Nonats has. But, you know, I'm working with what I got. And hopefully it carries me forward. Who knows? And as well, hopefully I keep up with the editing. I know my sound quality is good. It's something that I worked on. It could be better, for sure. I could be using a better mic and some other stuff. But a lot of the future improvements to, like, content and everything is just going to come with money in the end. I'm kind of reaching the limits of what I'm capable of doing. Obviously, there's still some tricks here and there I can do. But, you know, there's only so much a one-man party can do in the end. But as long as I have an audience who keeps chatting with me, telling me what they want, and helping me out whenever they can, like, man, the Discord is carried by my community. I don't spend enough time on it. I really wish I could do more, for sure. But, you know, one day at a time. I'm already a much better person, like, in general, than I was when I started this. And when I started, I was streaming, and I was streaming, like, Noita. And, the Shadow Hunt cowboy game. whichever one that was. I was streaming, and then I did live play streaming, and then I started making Pathfinder 2e content, and then suddenly things started getting better. But, you know, and that's just the thing, is you gotta keep iterating to keep getting better. Oh boy. Well, we made it to the whole 2 hours, and we still have a sizable audience. Again, I want to thank you all so much for being here for the stream. I appreciate you all those who've been chatting in the stream with me today, especially Dead Phoenix, especially Ezekiel, Oyman, Indigo Go Boy, who is not here at the moment, James, who is probably not here at the moment. Who else? I don't want to forget anyone. Hunlo, Lucas Dantes, Mex Rage, Yvette, I didn't forget about you. Unseelie, Nuruk Darog, love that name. Mr. Nagets, Ryan Rosheb, Rob H, Wolf Queen, and anyone else. If I missed your name, I apologize. I did not see it, or my brain missed it. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for those who joined the Discord. Thank you for those who joined the channel. Now, at the end of stream, we were at 26 subs till 4K. We are now officially at... Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Oh, it's not going to focus. Yeah. Oh, well. I don't have autofocus on. We're now at 3,984. We are now 16 subs. So we gained, like... what? Almost 10. We got like 8 subs just on the stream alone. I could not be more thankful. I'm going to keep pumping out content until the remaster releases. Currently, the plan is to get the spell changes out, followed by the domain spells, followed by ancestry changes, and then I might do rule changes and stuff like that, depending on, you know, where we're at that point. And then, yeah, we'll go into the new post-remaster era of Core 1 anyway. And I'll keep pumping out Lancer content and the like. I'll keep making the channel better, more interesting. And as well, we'll be improving the Twitch. So don't forget to follow on Twitch if that's something that you can do, as we're going to be adding new sound alerts, new integrations, new ways that you guys can integrate with chat. And, you know, we're going to be ever improving. But that's going to be it for me in the stream. Thank you all so much. I'll be seeing you next week on TableTalk anyway, where Glue Boy should be here, and we can chat about the remaster again, but now that everyone has access to it through Archive and Nethys and through the through Path Builder, because I know that's another one that a lot of people are super stoked about. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Good night. Thank you, Klaus, for the sub. I got it. I didn't end the stream quite yet. So there you go.